rise from your grave.
New Ravgator video dropped, dude. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Altered Beast. Some of you might be, considering, well, the demographic of my viewers, but I am very, very familiar with Altered Beast. It was one of the first games I remember really wanting to play when I had first gotten my PlayStation 2 back in like 2008 or something like that. And I remember going over to my cousin's place and being like, yo, what games are you playing? And they pull out this box art. And bro, the power of box arts was never more true than back in this moment. I had no idea about video games in general, but the second I saw this, man, I was hooked. I was aligned in, and I was synced. What the fuck am I saying? Anyway, I wanted it. Unfortunately, this didn't work, and there was no one who was selling it. So I begged for weeks. This one guy from this one store I knew, Club Cactus, fucking love you by the way, and he got me the game, and I got it, and I took it home, and I played it for hours, and I got traumatized, and we'll see why later, because holy shit! And I remember raging at this game, and then getting to the end, particularly not being able to beat the final boss, watching the ending online, which was in Spanish because at the time this game was not localized and no one knew about it, and then being extremely disappointed, breaking the disc in half and throwing it in the trash. This was my experience with Altered Beast. And years after, I'm like, Altered Beast is so disappointing, this and that. And now, well, after I had made that Deadpool video, I couldn't figure out what to do next. So I suppose curiosity got a hold of me, and well, here we are. Altered Beast was originally a game on the arcades back in 1988, and it was really good. You could finish it in 15 minutes, and it was kind of popular because yeah. I mean, werewolves are fucking cool, man. Why do you think I bought this game? And yeah, that was kind of it. It got a few ports towards, I think, SNES and a bunch of other stuff, and then a sequel that came out on the Game Boy Color, which I didn't know about until I was making this video. And then it just went dormant for years and years until, for some fucking reason, Sega said, damn, Resident Evil doing real good right now. Yo, look at the archive of our IPs we have. What do we got? We got a guy that turns into a werewolf. Here we are. Fucking actually 20 years later, discussing this thing in detail, because if you look at the goddamn bar down there, yeah, we're going in. That is a helicopter in the video game, so put the timer on this thing.
Listen to this guy. Why isn't he flying over this place then? They got us flying over toxic freaking fumes. And for what? Emergency pizza delivery.
I don't know about you guys, but I do appreciate some cheese writing. And oh damn, oh, this was even faster than I expected. The helicopter prophecy. You have to believe me, man. Helicopters always grab. Well, thank God I'm indestructible. So, you were inside of that steel coffin the entire time. And I'm going to tell you the name of the main character off the bat because he has amnesia and his name is never mentioned the entire game. His name is Luke, but he looks like Brian Fury. And he also fights like Brian Fury too. Were they actually like looking at Tekken for this? Has quite the move set. He's got his 1-2. Well, actually he's got a 1-2-3-3 or something like that. He also has a finishing blow. We blowing some things, alright. Also has an actual dive kick that is kind of baller, I'm not going to lie, because he can do it the second he gets off the ground. But either way, he's kind of trash and you take a lot of damage because of, you know, flesh. And he doesn't do much damage either, so, well, F tier. Fuck you, Luke. And honestly, he goes into F tier not because of all his problems. It's the fact that he looks like he has scoliosis and has the worst posture since Spider-Man, the arcade game. You walk over to this little file, you look at it, and quite quickly you get ambushed by creatures. And right off the bat, I'm gonna pause the footage right here. If this is straight up a trigger warning, blood, transformation, it's gory, it's brutal, and it probably would traumatize anyone who hasn't seen it yet. So, and I'm telling you, this is bad. Like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to put this on YouTube type of bad. I might even put a black and white filter over this, considering how bad it is. So, if you can't handle it, go over to here for us to, for you to skip over this. It never gets as bad as the wolf transformation. It is terrifying the way they actually did this. And God, it's still, I've seen this so many times by now, and it still makes me quiver, man. It's brutal, okay? And I don't even know if we needed this, but a part of me says, damn, that's kind of cool though. Werewolf is your first transformation of the game, and it might as well be the best transformation in the game. Werewolf is the workhorse. He is a DPS machine that can deal with any situation. Enemies that block, he's got that covered. Crowd of enemies, he's got that covered. Enemies that need to be stunned, he's got that covered. Enemies in the air, he's got that covered. Anything that has to be dealt with, Werewolf will deal with. If there was a hero shooter with every transformation in this game in it, Werewolf would be the DPS that gets 40 kills in MVP. He is amazing. Nice. And in this particular instant, you get every single one of his moves, and you're invincible until you kill one specific enemy. And it is a power trip. It is like the start of Prototype 1, and it feels good. Not to mention the music, which I really do love. Feels very hectic, like the werewolf is on the stage trying to kill the orchestra while they're playing their violins trying to play his theme, bro. Another thing we have to talk about here is the combat, and it's kind of trash in the most affectionate way possible. There's no lock-on. A lot of the moves don't really work, especially for other transformations, and they don't track too well, and there's a lack of substance there, but it is very cathartic in the way it works because of how hits feel, how they register, what it looks like when you kill an enemy, and the power fantasy that it gives you when you are beating up an entire group of enemies at once, and they slice in half, and they try to get back up, and they fall back down, and it's kind of cool in that way. And I think Altered Beast knows its strength because it constantly throws crowds of enemies at you. As for the enemies, you have to meet the walking corpses, and for first enemies you can't do more simple than this. They are very shy to attack, they are quite easy to kill, very slow, but even though they are this simple of an enemy, it is very, very important in a game like this to have a simple enemy that the player can just beat on. And the living corpses do that very well because how they're programmed to, one, take hits, and second, die. I love that these enemies have particular death animations that when you kill them, they change the model into this sliced up and gory version of the original model, and then that sometimes when they die, they get up to try and fight again, but then they fall over and die for real this time. It's a very cool look, and it does feel like, it really does feel like you're extremely powerful compared to these poor souls. After killing the last enemy, you collapse to the floor and just kind of die. Not everyone can handle the beast inside anyway. And a cutscene plays where you're on the floor, kind of just dying, and this woman comes over and says something along the lines of, "You can't handle the beast inside." I'm sorry. She gives you a tranquilizer to put you back into human form and talks to you while you're in your vegetative state. She gives this really creepy look towards the camera and just walks away. And for now, none of what she said makes any sense because, well, we have no fucking clue what the hell is going on. And our boy over here, he's got amnesia. You now have no shirt and your pants have miraculously survived. And with the scar on your chest, you look even more like Brian Fury. The game lets you loose now. It has some tutorial stuff with how finishing blows work and how transforming works. Basically, when you transform, you're consuming this green bar that is spirit energy that you get from defeating enemies and using fatal blows on them. And when it depletes, it will start draining from your actual health bar until you die. Now, this is fine. It's not too much of a hassle unless you are terrible at managing it. And now your objective is just kind of figure out what the fuck you're doing here, I guess, and follow that woman. It takes you to the cemetery. You're introduced to Gatekeepers. And apart from telling you you're a fake fan of their favorite anime, they will just stop you from making any progress throughout the game until you kill them. This is the main way that the game gets you to engage with its combat and its enemies. And it's not particularly bad, except for sometimes where it turns into a fetch quest to find multiple gatekeepers throughout the map to get through one particular part. It's not bad, I don't mind. When you kill a gatekeeper, you get this little thing that flies towards you. That is a skill point, and you can press the start button to go into gene manipulation and use it to do upgrades. So you can get more moves for the werewolf, which currently only has 3 swipes of his claws. So this goes for every other transformation except for a select few that we'll talk about around the end of the video. But this is really cool and incentivized me to really look for more gatekeepers, because there's mandatory gatekeepers that you have to do to progress, and that there's gatekeepers that are hidden and you have to find them in secret areas, which is fine by me. It's kind of cool that there is some sort of replayability to the game, especially with, you know, what I would consider to be slop. Now, I instantly took the launching uppercut move because I thought I was about to have Devil May Cry style combos, and no, I was severely disappointed. But like, well, at least I tried. Then you're met with this courtyard that has like 1,000,000 enemies, 3 gatekeepers that you have to fight. This is where the game kind of lets you go wild as much as you want. This is one of my favorite like pieces of the game, where you just go in there and you're just killing left, right, and center, and it's so much fun. But then you have to get into the catacombs, and it's just gatekeeper after gatekeeper after gatekeeper, and you have to get through it to continue following the woman. At this point, it's blind gameplay. You're just following the game's linear path, and that's pretty much it. There are a couple of new enemies you get to meet along the way. You get to meet the bloated corpses, who have, well, nothing special really. They're just tankier fodder enemies. And then you'll see very early on the ogres, which can block your attacks, and pretty much that's about it as well. Also pretty tanky. And then along the way you'll see bats who show up like 2 times the entire game. And then you get this. Huh. Strange, isn't it? Along the way through Gatekeeper place to Gatekeeper place, you'll meet rats. My favorite, New Yorkers. There they are, true citizens of New York. And then a save station right before the boss room.
I'm the giant rat that makes all of the rules. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get ourselves into.
It's the mayor! It's the mayor of New York! There he is! Leviathan. He is kind of an annoying first boss to deal with because you have to bait out his attack and wait for him to pull out of the water so that you can attack him. It's not that bad, especially if you go long trying to beat this boss because, well, there are a bunch of rats all around trying to just kind of run away. They don't get in the way at all. They're just there for spirit energy, actually. And it's mostly just these two attacks until you actually get rid of his health bars. And then he gets out of the water and starts chasing you around. You gotta wait until he gets tired and then start attacking him then. And he's quite an easy boss to defeat, in all honestness. He is just a bit annoying because you have to bait out and wait for specific attacks. It's not that bad. And after he dies, you walk up to the body and press a button to get a cutscene where Luke pulls out whatever the glowy thing was inside of Leviathan and eats it. I think bro just made a new virus, but whatever.
I assume you've already been debriefed on the situation in Foret town. I need you to investigate the research facility and confirm the fate of Dr. Eric Jobs and
Whatever, man. Either way, you were actually sent some sort of whatever, you're some sort of like weapon that got sent to check out this research facility. And turns out you're the only one that can survive in that genome mist. Which begs the question, what the hell is the deal with that woman? How is she surviving? Either way, merman.
MADWORLD.
This thing. Okay. Merman is fine in actuality. But my god, is it the most obnoxious introduction ever. You're stuck in the water, you can barely get out of it. And then as you progress, you are given enemies that particularly counter you. Merman has just this one attack, which is just this bubble missile that kills enemies in one hit, but it's extremely slow and you can't rapid fire it until you upgrade the character. And it sucks so bad because the enemies are so fast that they just rush you the entire time. I died a couple of times because I was playing Merman, and you're stuck in this form, and it's the only way you can progress through the game for like 30 or maybe 40 minutes. It is annoying.
Fight back! Fight back!
With all due respect, Merman, C tier.
Damn!
The rest of the level kind of goes as follows. You're in the water, you get to a point where you need to kill some gatekeepers. You do that. In the water, gatekeepers are pretty much just on one side of the map, then the other side of the map, and that's it. And then sometimes you have to get out of the water to go fight gatekeepers, where you'll meet amphibians and wasps. And there are nothing enemies and pretty much just reskins with a few extra moves. And this is kind of how it goes. A lot of the enemies in this game are pretty much variations of other enemies. There are 60 plus enemies in this game, and most of them are variations, which is one way to bloat your roster. You can collect enemy data as you play, letting you see the models and look at animations. It's kind of cool, even though there's so many of them to find, and a lot of them are, you know, kind of samey. At least their textures and animations are different. The forest goes on for a while. Gatekeeper after gatekeeper, merman segment after merman segment. and feels somewhat poorly put together since it's just clumps of enemies filling the water. And considering Merman's lack of exhilarating gameplay, it just ends up being annoying to go through. Thankfully, it's not that tough. At some point, you finally get to a save station, and that means a boss fight. You get in the water, and that's a big gator. Oh my god. That is Sartosuchus. And he is not that big of a deal. Honestly, if you thought the music like was scary or anything, don't worry about it. It's shoot it till it dies, and sometimes it hits you with an electric. And comes at you like really fast, but also, I mean, you have a beacon that just makes it so that it attacks something else, so it's kind of easy. And it's pretty boring, so I'm not gonna waste your time with it. You kill it, and then you get the learning chip for the werewolf, which lets you jump higher, which leads you to the swamp. And this is the gameplay loop for the game. You go into an area, you go through gatekeeper after gatekeeper, and then at some point you fight a boss. The boss gives you either an upgrade or a transformation that lets you progress to the next area, or to the next boss or whatever. And usually the thing that you got is very useful in the next boss fight, it's very useful in the next area, yada yada yada. The progression of the game is what makes you stay and keep playing. The transformations, abilities, and upgrades are what you want to see. New enemies are plenty, like the berserkers, the boars, and the frogs. But at the end of the day, they're just crowds of enemies you just get to beat on. The swamp is somewhat short. You get in the water one more time as the merman to get some gatekeepers in a big pond, which takes a long ass time. And it opens the boss room to Sasquatch. I love the Sasquatch fight. Just putting it out there. After getting the chip, you are given a flashback. You are a genome cyborg, able to use genetic chips to transform into different monsters. And also, you get to play as Wendigo now. Dude, Wendigo is so cool. Monkey. Able to do big, satisfying punches that launch enemies super far away. And also has a grab that slams them down and ice breath to keep them in place. He can also grab big items and throw them away to clear a path, which allows us to make progress in the game. Wendigo is awesome. Now, we have to go back to the starting area to make progress, which means going back through the forest. Before getting to the next area, I decided to backtrack a bit and go back to the cemetery, where by using the abilities we have, I was able to get more skill points by killing secret gatekeepers that don't keep any gates, but still give you skill points either way. I went through the catacombs as well, and in Leviathan's boss room I found a special enemy with a 1-minute time limit to kill. These enemies are scattered around the map, and if you want to get 100% of the game, you have to kill each and every single one, unfortunately. After killing 2 of those, I made my way back to the starting area and cleared the path to Foret town. The residential area is very much base Altered Beast. I like the scenery. This town that's been turned into shambling corpses running around the place. It's very Resident Evil in that aspect, and don't worry, that comparison isn't going anywhere anytime soon. But overall, nothing special here. Just a few enemy variants of berserkers and bloated corpses. Also, some cars you can throw at enemies, and after killing a couple gatekeepers at the first part of the area, and it's all clear, it feels familiar in a way.
In my restless dreams, I see that town, Foret town. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, just me and the chickens.
The chickens were a surprise, and they only show up here, nowhere else in the game. Afterwards, we see the ogres for the first real time. They are some of the only enemies that are an actual pain to fight. Then we end up on the front of the mall, and it's blocked off by 2 gatekeeping bloated on top of the building, vomiting down acid so you can't get in. Like, really? What did you eat to have that much to spew out even? What the fuck? You have to get other gatekeepers and open up the parking lot, which gets you face to face with another boss. Ashama? Chama. It's a big boy. Too bad it's the ugliest giant baby I've ever seen. It sits in a corner of the boss room, throwing cars at you, and you can't damage it using Wolf or Wendigo. You have to throw cars at it. Unfortunately, it can knock them out of your hands and even hit you with another car while you're trying to line up your shot. Not the hardest boss in the game. It's kind of annoying considering what you have to do. And it gives you the learning chip for Wendigo. Ice boulder. You make big rock of ice and throw it. It's useful 3 times in a game. For example, here to kill the bloats guarding the door to the mall. And what a painful shot to make. Aiming this thing is actual pain because there is no reticle, there is no lock on, there's nothing of the sort. You just have to fucking wing it. And either way, you do it, and then you're able to get to the mall. The mall. I hate the fucking place. It's a shithole.
Birmingham is a fucking shithole. I hate the.
You are quickly greeted by Citri, the boss, and then spend the next hour finding gatekeepers and killing them. It's so obnoxiously boring to go through. The only notable thing will be the frogs on the ceiling that you have to snipe to keep going. I'm not wasting your time with this. You get to the very top where there's a basketball court. Why would there be a basketball court at the highest point of a mall? Who built this place? And are they stupid? And are met with Citri. Wendigo absolutely wipes the floor with him here. You can stun lock him the entire time if you're fast enough, and then he will make a hole in the ceiling and fight you on the roof where he can fly. The goal is to hit him with the ice block to get him down, then wail on him with Wendigo. It can take long if you're low on spirit energy and are playing cautious, but if you're able to get him in the corner, you're good. He can't get up fast enough. Okay, this might be important. It looks like we're getting some sort of explanation.
When normal creatures inhale this genome mist, their cells rapidly mutate, and they become, well...
Wait, what? Wait, no. No, don't gloss over that. Wait. What are you guys... Are you guys stupid?
cautious when using it then.
They just made a airborne virus that they can deploy at any time they want. And they're worried about genome cyborgs that can operate in the field? Why would you worry about a field to operate in when you can just delete the field completely? What? After that mind-boggling flashback, we're given Garuda, a bird. They're put above the genome mist. From here we can fly anywhere we want. Granted, we'll have to deal with flying turkeys while we do that. Garuda can fly over everywhere. Water, enemies, obstacles. He bypasses a lot of backtracking and makes it feel very easy, which is why I really appreciate this transformation. He's not the best when it comes to combat, but his special move is really strong. We're supposed to go to checkpoint, but it's blocked off by giant webs. So we're forced to go and fight a giant enemy spider. There's no gatekeepers or really anything stopping you from going straight for it, except for a cutscene where what looks like a clone comes over to Citri and vows to beat your ass. I don't know, man. The giant spider has a fucked up looking name. I can't fathom how to pronounce it, so yeah. And it's one of the easiest bosses in the game. You damage it enough, it tries to jump you, you attack its weak spot, it dies, and gives you a nosedive ability that lets you go through the spider webs and towards the checkpoint. You know what, the fact that we only have 2 more slots for the transformations? I'm thinking I won't be getting that sexy shark girl transformation I wanted out of this. Oh hey, there's that girl I forgot about. Oh, been a little while. Hello. Long story short, she says that there's another genome cyborg around called Brad that released the genome mist and is looking for the strongest genome chip. And her name is Anastasia, and she walks straight through the door. Which, didn't we just get along that the genome mist turns normal creatures into bloodthirsty monsters? Or are we just glossing over that just for this particular moment? By the way, Garuda is great. Bam. The mines are interesting. Have a lot of variation when it comes to enemies, but this first room almost got me. You have to fight centipedes that constantly spawn and spit at you, which sounds like just some guy going Haktua on that but no gatekeepers until you lift a boulder with Wendigo that reveals one of the gatekeepers. So you kill and keep going. You also meet moles that are jank to fight against, but are also a welcome addition, I guess. I think. And then this funny little trap by amphibians that, of course, gets them nowhere. Then a merman segment, and a wall you can't break. And an eel boss fight. I guess we shoot it till it dies. And it took me 3 tries to do this. This boss does a lot of damage. And you get a big laser attack that breaks the goop wall and lets you into limestone caves, which aren't too different really, and are just a way to get you to Balrog. I wish it was the Street Fighter version. No, it's a giant fire-breathing bat. Balrog is definitely one of the tougher fights in this game, deserving of some respect. When you get the chip, you are given the lamest flashback fight scene I've ever seen. I don't know what the fuck these animations even are. I never thought shaky cam would even be a thing in video games. Either way, it's just, oh my god, he's you, but better. But it's not Devil May Cry. And you get Minotaur, your fire type Pokemon. Minotaur is slow, has heavy damage, and does fire breath. He gets much more useful afterwards when he's upgraded, but he's not as good as Wendigo or Werewolf. Using Minotaur, we get out of the mines and blow up a gas truck, I don't know what the fuck you call these, to enter the nuclear power plant. This area introduces a new variation of the ogres. The black, the dark, a new variation of the ogres. Let's just not name them and just be done with it. They are the most aggressive and most damaging enemy, I think, in this game, because holy crap, they knock down on every hit, they block your attacks, and they retaliate so quickly. It's like a Tekken player seeing a 15 frame punish. And it litters them throughout the entire level. It is crazy how many of these you get to see just in like the first 10 seconds of this area. And then you're introduced to vultures, who at this point flying enemies are a dime a dozen, and they are all basically the same. And then not too long after, you meet the Toadmen, and these Sonic Adventure motherfuckers are painful because of their main attack being, yeah. While I was playing through this level, I was, you know, doing my upgrades. I heard the background music, and I was jamming, bro. I was genuinely jamming, and it made me realize something about this game. Because of the way the soundtrack works, it doesn't let its actual soundtrack shine. You're not allowed to listen to the actual stage's theme. But I can tell you that there are some good tracks, particularly the transformation tracks are really good. Garuda, Werewolf, Wendigo, Merman, their tracks are all amazing. But Nuclear Power Plant's theme? I love this theme, it's awesome. Moving on, we get to a point where we meet the Boar Men. I can't even at this point. They are a bit more agile, they're a bit more aggressive, and they have Earth Breath, apparently. Enough to stun you, actually. But apart from that, finally we get to the boss room of this stage, and we are met with Osha, the fucking Black Panther over here. And the first thing this bitch does is shoot fart gas at you, bro. Come on! Osha is very easily defeated by Minotaur, actually. Because after doing enough damage with Garuda, it starts doing this fucking Sonic move where it's just jumping from wall to wall. And then tries to jump at you, where you just block it with Minotaur. And it falls down, like you royal guarded it. And then it takes immense damage in this state from just Minotaur, and bam, it's dead. And it gives you the Bull Rush. The Bull Rush is quite useful because it allows you to break through walls, and there are a lot of walls to break through in this game, trust me. So I had to do a lot of backtracking when I got this ability. But after a while, I came back and went back into the nuclear facility, where a new enemy is introduced to us, being the Goat Men, which are somewhat of an interesting spin on the enemies. They are able to dodge your attacks and counter with their own fire breath that knocks down on hit, which makes it kind of difficult and confusing how you're supposed to fight them. But at the end of the day, you're not supposed to fight them any differently than anyone else. Maybe their dodge ability is the same as a block and some abilities just break the dodge. I don't get it, okay? The rest of the inside of the nuclear facility isn't that much different. It tries to vary it up with a merman segment, but at the same time, who wants a goddamn merman segment? But at least it has a pretty good payoff when it gets to the boss, Brad.
I
knew you would come.
Brad is standing between you and the genome chip Dragon. And this is where I just want to tell you, Brad is a top tier, high level functioning god of destruction rank hater. Damn! And I will explain to you why. Brad is a genome cyborg just like you, but he can only transform into one transformation. He's not trying to take Dragon, he just doesn't want you to have it. God bless your autism. So he transforms into the Were-Tiger, which is kind of cool. Sort of. Well, the werewolf transformation and the tiger transformation have been in the original Altered Beast, and while werewolf has the dash ability, the tiger has the up dash ability, which are reflected here in the fight, which is really cool. But I'll shut my mouth about that because this is the Virgil fight.
Where's your motive?
Were-Tiger is kind of an interesting fight. You basically can't fight it with any of the other transformations because they're too slow and he just dodges them anytime you try. But with Werewolf, he stops taunting you and actually starts fighting, which isn't particularly difficult because, well, he's just swinging at you and then doing the diving kick, which is not crazy. So you're not exactly having a hard time except for when he does a kick to just basically say get the fuck off me. At one point he gets tired of your bullshit and takes the high ground, where you have to turn into Minotaur and use your bull rush to smash into it enough so that it breaks and he falls down. Then you can keep fighting until you defeat him.
Why did you release the genome mist?
Me? Have you not yet realized the truth? You must stop Anastasia. There is still time.
Huh? What do you mean? You mean to tell me that the mysterious woman we've been blindly trusting the entire time is not our version of Ada Wong and instead is just the villain? Who could have thought? This game's story is negligible at best, honestly. But it's in your face enough that I care. Anyway, Brad survives and you take Dragon. While taking Dragon, you get a flashback to how you became a genome cyborg, and it's very simple. Mr. Steve Jobs, what's his name?
Jobs.
Right, that. He wakes you up from what seems to just be like a coma and just tell you that you were injured in battle, you had some sort of fucking scoliosis, and that they turned you into a genome cyborg. And you're not alone in that situation because Brad is a genome cyborg and Anastasia is as well.
Call me Anna. Nice to meet you.
Wait, was this supposed to be a big reveal? Was this supposed to be something crazy? No! What do you mean? We've been told that only genome cyborgs are able to fucking live in the mist. Of course Anastasia's a genome cyborg. Whatever. I don't fucking care. Why do I act like I care? We get Dragon. And he definitely is the most powerful genome chip. And for a few reasons. One, he was extremely fucking overpowered in the arcade game, I'll tell you that much. And two, his special attack just deletes anything that is on screen, pretty much. Dragon doesn't have any melee attacks. he just has ranged electricity attacks that absolutely obliterate everything. And he allows us to go through lightning gates, which allows us to get to the final stage. Now, before we do that, I must tell you, I did a lot of fucking backtracking now that I have every fucking ability and every character in the game. This might come as a surprise to you. But remember earlier when I talked about special enemies that sometimes spawn in specific areas and also enemy data? I got every single special enemy and every single one of the enemy data. Actually, not every single one of them. Some of them you can't unlock until after you finish the game, but we'll get there later. What I'm trying to explain to you, what I want you to understand, and why I'm telling you this, is because those special bosses / enemies are some of the worst goddamn fights I have ever been in. They are made to be obnoxious. Let me give you an example. They do not fight back. So this one in particular is guarded by fucking 50 bloated and will run away constantly. You can't pin it down as Werewolf, so you're forced to play as Wendigo because you have a grab attack. Now, here's my issue. The best way to do it is to grab, then do your special move so that you do enough damage that it dies in maybe just a few hits. The problem being, sometimes you do your grab and it gets up faster than you, runs away from your frost breath. And here's the thing, you're so slow as Wendigo that it will just run away from the area and be registered as a loss, making you have to reload the area. Not to mention that if you don't do it fast enough, you're just not allowed to win. Even if it's a if it's a magic pixel of health and it goes down to 0 on the timer, you lose. Reload the area. Now, why am I telling you this? Because it's not just this one. Almost every single one of these is this painful. There's one in particular I do not have any footage for, but it is guarded by ogres that throw rocks at you, and also has this one particular spot it likes to run away to, a ledge that it can't fall down on. But you can. So if you overshoot just the tiniest bit, you get juked and reload, motherfucker. It is pain. And I got each and every single one I could before I went to the last area of the game. By the time I end this video, I will have 100% of the game, having spent 25 hours playing this. Probably more, actually. But we're not there yet. Now we have Dragon. And with Dragon, we are able to go to the research facility. Now, I told you earlier that the Resident Evil comparison wouldn't go away. Because, well, it's very Resident Evil 2. You drop into a weird town. It's zombies, pretty much. You fight bosses until you figure out, wait, Umbrella did all of this? And then the last section of the game is a laboratory. So, we also have found pretty much the equivalent of Wesker. All we're missing is a tyrant. As you enter the research facility, you will soon realize that everyone inside got turned into horsemen that know karate. And I swear to God, I remember one of them hit me with like a Kazuya Mishima hell sweep, but I cannot find the footage for the life of me. These horsemen are way stronger than pretty much any other enemy you can find because they are super fast. They have a lot of ways to attack you. They're pretty tanky, and they have like mad combos. And we enter the restricted area of the research station, where we are met with a door to the final boss that we cannot enter. and another door that requires a couple of switches to be turned on. Now to do that, we have to go through the entirety of the restricted area and find these switches and destroy them with Werewolf. Every time we do, there's a bunch of enemies that show up and we need to defeat them to keep going because they block our way. It is very simple. There's a merman segment in there, and pretty much every new enemy you've met shows up here. And then when you finally break every single one of these, you can go downstairs and meet the next boss, who is Basilisk. Basilisk is not difficult to fight, not at all, and it's very simple. Why? It's because you have dragon. Basilisk can do a lot of damage, but you can defeat it so quickly that you might not even realize it. Thankfully, it has its own way of replenishing its health by making little special bosses and then eating them, which is kind of horrifying, but whatever. When you do defeat Basilisk, you are not given a cutscene or anything of the sort. You are given an upgrade, but to no one. It actually is like a question mark. But then you keep going. You go down an elevator where you are met with more horsemen. Doesn't matter. In the corner, there's one of the special bosses with no time limit, but you can't get to it. There's no way of entering it, even using all of your other transformations. None of them let you get in there to kill it. So you keep going, and then you meet another boss, Rhinorian. Rhinorian is actually kind of interesting because he's, first of all, a reference to the old antagonist of Altered Beast from the arcade game. And funny enough, he looks like, well, he doesn't look very similar. He used to be purple and have shoulder pads. And funny enough, this guy somehow was popular enough to make it to Wreck-It Ralph. Just saying, this guy was in Wreck-It Ralph. Now, Rhinorian is one of the more difficult bosses because I remember when I was a kid, I was actually like tweaking while fighting this. What makes Rhinorian so interesting is his ability to block pretty much everything you do to him. And also that there is no way to get spirit energy anywhere. There is no enemies around. It doesn't drip from the ceiling or anything like that. What you have to do is turn back into Luke. Then Rhinorian, seeing you as a non-threat, will try to relax, and you can hit him with finishing blows that do no damage to get spirit energy. Now, the problem being is if you get caught out as Luke, at any moment, you will die from an attack that was basically not meant for you. It was meant for Wendigo or Minotaur, not Werewolf, because he cannot compete against him. Basically what you have to do is you have to bait him into attacking you, block it with Minotaur, and then counter. And when you have your special move, you can force him out of his blocking state and basically into an attack. So you keep, it's a very tedious cycle because he doesn't take that much damage, but you know that if he starts attacking, if you don't use the strat, he will melt you down. Rhinorian is very difficult as a boss. After defeating Rhinorian, you get a genome upgrade to Dragon's special ability, which allows you to basically just do a big laser attack and break through that weird energy wall into the final boss. So I guess Anna found a dress in the middle of all of this bullshit, and also she's got two people just tweaking off of fentanyl on the fucking ground right now.
Looks like you got your memory back.
Oh, you could tell? You could just read my fucking mind and tell that I got my memories back?
It's all because of
What do you...
Once you were developed, Brad and I were deemed unnecessary.
So you have cool fucking transformation powers. What's the problem? I don't understand.
Eric's interest in me lasted only for a short while. The project quickly moved on to the final phase. The creation of the ultimate genome cyborg who could freely control multiple genomes. That's when Eric became obsessed with you.
The man's a scientist. He's supposed to be obsessed and make research to make money, to earn a living. Why? Are you a toddler? Is jealousy literally the only reason you just condemned an entire town to death?
Yeah. He's obtained the dragon genome. Just like
Oh no, even Eric is fucking tweaking out on fentanyl.
I may not be able to use genome chips like you, but I can absorb your DNA. With your power, I can become the ultimate genome cyborg.
Your
Eric
plan
looking
is
for.
so flawed, actually. What if I fucking died?
Just you wait and see.
What the fuck? Eric will never get to see that shit. Okay. Whatever. Dude, fuck this goddamn story. I swear to God. I suppose we finally have our tyrant. Okay, now we're fighting Chimera, the final boss of this game. And it is, well, very complicated. Because we start off the boss fight with Chimera being a stationary target that throws heads at you. She really wants to give you head for some reason. This is actually a reference to the first boss of the original arcade release of Altered Beast, who is Neth, and yeah, it's basically the exact same thing. It is not too difficult to defeat, although you'll realize that the second you take out that first health bar, she regenerates all of it. And after you deplete her health bar a few times, it will play a cutscene. I also really like the start of this cutscene where Luke is just fucking standing there like a goddamn idiot. Like, this is a fight, Luke. Why did you turn back into your normal human form? What is wrong with you? By the way, when did she turn bald? Bye, Brad. Damn. Wait. You're dead? You are the most, the first genome cyborg. You can turn into Weretiger. You took hits from Werewolf, and a throw to the wall is what kills you? What the fuck do you mean? I don't understand. I don't understand. Oh my god. Oh, we now care about Brad. Do we? We give a shit? Oh, we're giving a shit about Brad now. She's turning into fucking Medusa now. For fuck's sake. I don't fucking care anymore. I'm just gonna fucking kill you, and that's gonna be it. Chimera. The way she works is that every time you take out a health bar, she turns into a mirror of one of your transformations. Now she turns into a frost variation, which I misunderstood. Basically, I thought that I should counter her, so I went Minotaur when I was supposed to go Wendigo. But the idea is you're supposed to go Wendigo so that her attacks don't do as much damage. But either way, I suffered through it, and I fought her Minotaur when she was doing more damage to me because she had frost attack. No seriousness, she's not a very difficult boss when you take into consideration that if you're playing Wendigo when she's in frost form, she doesn't do any damage. And you're just free to wail on her as much as you want, except for when she doesn't make. And then she turns into her fire form where you're supposed to play as Minotaur, and it's super easy because of how Minotaur can block attacks. Fire doesn't affect him at all. He doesn't even flinch at fire. She's actually so easy to fight here, it's not even worth mentioning. Now, for the third transformation that she takes on, which is the most annoying one, she starts flying. And in this particular one, there is no real way to negate all the damage that she does because, well, Garuda doesn't have any damage negation, and Dragon is way too slow to be even competing or putting out any damage. He gets knocked out of the air all the time. I genuinely have no idea how I did this in the recording. I guess I played extremely safe or got really lucky with positioning. But the best way, I think, to beat her is to just lock her down. Figure out a way to hit her enough that she actually stun locks. Because she has like a few invincible moves and stuff, which is so goddamn annoying. And not to mention the freaking tornadoes that she starts throwing at you, which do really big damage. And it's just like, what are you supposed to do? Thankfully, I got lucky enough. She comes back down, she gets some fucking crab hands, and looks like a goddamn predator now. And, well, it might as well be the easiest one. She does earth damage, but, like, it's not even that much of a problem. Yeah, sure, you don't have any transformations that actually resist earth damage, but it doesn't matter because with the way that she does her attacks, it's really easy to defeat her because Werewolf can just get under her while she's doing some of her attacks and damage her weak spot, and it is really easy to handle. Now she gets a white health bar, which is unique to her, and she takes on this really weird, I mean, I don't even know what this is supposed to be, form. The last phase might as well be a joke. All you have to do is attack her with a full charge attack from Dragon, charge up your special attack, and attack her for half of her HP. You do that again, and that's it. And it cuts straight to credits. And this, like, it pisses me off that this is the end of the story. There is literally nothing else to it, which pains me because we're just left with these shots of the research facility burning down, because I guess Luke started burning it down. But the problem here is there's no real conclusion to the story. There's a genome mist just there, like airborne virus about to kill thousands of people. We don't give a shit. Okay, fine. You know what? Fair. And this is why I got really mad at the game when I was younger. And I think I'm at least a little bit justified in that, because what the fuck is this? But at the end of the day, this game's story has proven to me time and time again that it doesn't make fucking sense. And I'm not a big fan of it. And what do you mean we have to do Elevator of Doom? So, we have a bunch more stuff to do. Boss time attack. I think this is obvious. You fight through the bosses again with a time limit for each one. Not very difficult, though there are some that are straight up tedious. But at the end, there's one boss that isn't available to fight against. Now we do Elevator of Doom. Elevator of Doom is a game mode where you're forced to play as one of the transformations and fight through waves of enemies. After completing all of them, you're allowed to play with all transformations through a harder version of the game mode. And in the end, a room opens where you're met with a secret boss, Belphegor. Roly, I think? Belphegor is actually piss easy. Damage him enough and he tries to run you over. You block him with Minotaur, use Wendigo to throw him into the water, where you shoot him to death with Merman. And he actually gives you a new transformation, Grizzly. I put him in D tier. He has a really good special attack that does damage against enemies that have high resistance, but his melee attacks are so linear, it's difficult to hit a group of enemies with him. He can turn into a ball and squeeze into tight spaces, which allows us to get to Dragon's transformation data, and a couple of special bosses that were missing from the database. Also, remember that one special boss that didn't have a time limit? Yeah, so you go over, turn to Grizzly, and fart into his enclosure to kill him. Kuma would be proud, I guess. What the fuck is up with the Tekken references today? Now we also go fight Belphegor in Time Attack and unlock UWH, Unknown Weightless Human, an alien transformation that can teleport and reverse gravity. D tier. Now we go and fight a special boss that appears in Belphegor's chamber, which is riveting gameplay, as you can see. And for the last task that we have to do is beat Chimera again to unlock her enemy data. The moment we do that and look at her enemy data in the database, we have 100%ed Altered Beast. And our reward is Weretiger, Brad's transformation. I did all of this for Weretiger, and it put a smile on my face. He's exactly like the boss version. I remember when I was younger, I had seen a few videos of people playing as Weretiger and was wondering how you could unlock it. But since the game never came to America, there was not a single video in English that explains it, so I was just jealous the entire time. I think subconsciously, I wanted to get this transformation since I was a kid. And you might ask, so what's the point? Why'd you make this video, Raph? I guess I made it maybe to show that video games are fun, even if they aren't a masterpiece or live service games. Altered Beast is nowhere near a perfect game. It's actually scuffed. But in the 20 hours I played, I had a lot of fun. And I'm glad I can share with you guys and show you what type of games I grew up with. I think that's important as someone who talks about video games on YouTube, to show off the library of games that I've played and what I think of them. Because when I tell you that a game is bad, you'll understand why. When I tell you a game is good, you'll also understand why. It's pretty much just getting familiar with you guys. But that will do it for Altered Beast. This video is way too long. I don't want to drag it out any more than it has to be. So I guess I'll just say thank you, dear viewer, for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. I will make a update video sometime soon detailing the changes that are happening in my life and how that's going to affect my YouTube channel. But for now, this will do. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I appreciate you. This video is way too long, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.